Hey, everybody. Welcome to week three Ed Tech. Glad to have you here and glad everybody is getting their stuff in and enjoy looking at your videos and seeing your self-assessments and all that kind of stuff. I know this video is coming out a little late this week, but I wanted to do a video for week three and week four together. They kind of go with each other. So what we're going to be looking at this week is access and diversity issues in technology. Just the idea that, not everybody has the same access to technology, and we can't just assume that everybody has the same access when we're doing things. So we need to be thinking about what are ways that we can make sure everybody has the same equitable opportunity. So it's really easy to say, like, well, look, they have an iPad. I'm giving them an assignment. They can go home and do that on their iPad. Well, let's just think of the different situations that could occur within that little situation. Is one, do they have internet access? That's one way. Like, do they have good Wi-Fi? Maybe they have bad Wi-Fi. Maybe they don't have Wi-Fi at all in their house. We can't just assume that everybody has it. Maybe they go home and they don't have a whole lot of knowledge of how to use it. Or maybe they go home and they want to have, some people go home and they have their parents can help them, or whoever's in the house can help them. Or maybe they go home and nobody can help them. The parents or whoever is with them does not have the ability to or the knowledge to really help them out there. A simple little thing when we think of like using technology and doing stuff is, are we allowing our kids to be the successful in an easy way in sense of submitting work? So let me give you an example. My kids have all been using iPads and stuff that have been given to the schools. Manhattan Public Schools, like a one-to-one school with iPads, and so they have iPads. But like my son will take a test and they'll take a class test in class, like a quiz. And instead of handing that test in, what they have to do is they have to take a picture of the test. Then they have to upload that picture to their files, and then they have to put the file into the assignment and submit the assignment through Canvas. Now, I'm not sure how many of you remember back to your high school times or have children that are in high school, but that is a lot. And I know it sounds like, well, they should be able to do it. And yes, they should. But we just gave them an opportunity to make it harder for them, make it one step harder for them to submit it. And I can tell you, I have all my children, I've found plenty of work that is in their backpacks that just wasn't submitted because they didn't take the picture of it. So simple little things like that. But what we're going to do just this next couple of weeks is we're going to kind of explore this idea of access and diversity issues. And one where really started to push it out was during COVID. We sent all our students were here on campus, and then we sent everybody home, and we were going to do online learning. And what we found out is Western Kansas at the time, and probably still didn't have as great of access as a lot of other places did. They didn't have great internet. So we were out there trying to have these Zoom meetings with everybody and have them do everything online, and it wasn't working. It just was not working. And that was one way we had to try to think and figure out and how we were going to handle this. Um, so there's a lot of different things we could do to challenge that and everything, or to make that work. And so what I want you to do over the next 2 weeks. So this week, what you'll do is you're going to look at a bunch of resources I have for you. Again, you don't have to look at all of them, but just look at a handful of the resources, and you're going to write a reflection. And we'll look at that here specifically in a second. Write a reflection about it. The second thing you're going to do is next week, you are going to come up with 5 ways to close that gap. What are 5 things you can do within your classroom that would help out with access and diversity issues in technology? So let's take a look real quick. I'm going to share my screen here with you. And so we have, this is our week. So let's kind of look at week three here. And then, so you'll go in here, kind of review a handful of these. Given you a ton. Again, you do not have to look at all of them, but give a good look to a handful of these. And then come in here and you're going to answer these questions. So first thing you do is review them, and then you're going to reflect and respond. So I want you to get what do you think the current state of equity in educational technology? What is it? Give your opinion. Thinking back, like during COVID and remote teaching. So you really kind of like into COVID, but then coming out of COVID, we really started doing this idea of remote teaching. We have a lot more online options. Think about things that, were that they faced by teachers and parents and stuff. The next one is, what is the diversity challenges in integration? So think about 3 diversity challenges teachers encounter with integrating ed tech into the learning experience. Thinking about language barriers and parent knowledge, I kind of talked about. And finally, what do you think is the greatest issue you're going to face when using technology? So that is just kind of down here. I have a little bit of rationale. Don't worry about responding to that or anything. You will just answer these one, two, three, four, kind of reflect on those four prompts. Okay. So thinking about how they're organized and everything, kind of probably about 100 words per at least question. But we're not going to, just give a good thought to that. So that is this week. You're kind of reflecting, seeing what's there. Next week, what you're going to do, and I'm going to have to kind of drop down here where all the way to here we go, is our closing the gap. So now what you're going to do is kind of thinking back to reviewing these resources, and I want you to create 5 specific actions that you would take to bridge the gap in your technology gap in your classroom. So provide a detailed explanation and an example. And those will be due, both of these will be due like Thursday night. We will on the closing the gap, not on the reflection, but on the closing the gap. So next week's you will have replies to groups, and we'll build groups, and you'll just only reply to 2 other people that will be in your group. So that is what we're going to do this week or the next 2 weeks. Before I go, I just want to give you one little big tip I think that would be helpful for you. And if you want to talk about this as one of your strategies as closing the gap next week, you could maybe expand on it a little more. But there's a word. One time I was asking the students when we had this class face to face, and I was asking them like a way, what would be a good thing? And somebody said something that really stuck with me, and they said the simple word. They said grace. I thought that, when we kind of thought about that a little more, what does that mean? Just having grace with your students, understanding they may have difficulties. Like many of you who maybe you email me on a Thursday night at 11 o'clock when the assignment's due and you go, it's not working for me. Now I could easily get really upset and say, well, that's your problem. And maybe you should have done this a little earlier and everything. And yes, that's probably a valid response by me. But the reality is most of the times I have some grace with you and go, okay, let's fix it. How can you fix it? What can I do to help you? Real simple thing to do in life. It gets sometimes as teachers we struggle with it, but that's kind of just having grace. So if you want to expand on that more in your writing next week, you can. So that will be this bit video kind of take place for these 2 weeks. If you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know. If you are getting behind, please reach out as soon as possible. Try to get caught up. You don't want to fall too behind. We're already 3 weeks into school. So I hope you all have a fabulous week, and we'll talk to you soon.